Let's start with corruption, because that was a big thing that the president fought on. There's a perception that the general corruption fight that we see under this administration is a little bit skewed, and that it focuses on people who are not pro-government or who are not friends of this government or who belong to an opposition party. How do you respond to those allegations?
Which allegations?
That your corruption fight focuses only on people who are opponents of the APC or who are not friends of the APC.
Well, I think that's not a fair criticism or observation, because it's not backed by facts. I don't think there is anybody that has been pointed out as corrupt in the last dispensation, which we look the other direction. I think I can best illustrate my experiences on this. When I came in uniform in 1984, we arrested the president, the vice president, the governors, the ministers, and put them in detention and said they are guilty until they can prove themselves innocent. We put committees of investigation almost based on geopolitical zones. And those that were investigated, except two Nigerians, late Biamun Usman, a junior minister of education, and late Adam Chiroma, a governor of Central Bank, and a minister of finance, were the only people who were found to have managed their resources with integrity. But I myself eventually was arrested and detained, and those people who were found through thorough committee investigation, it's not just an allegation. They were given the chance to talk. So I decided to come now, and now I have to be careful. People are just not arrested like that, but when they hold positions, if they made a wrong declaration, it's just one point. They didn't mention how many houses they have in Europe and America or Asia, and they didn't mention the companies they floated and the contract they gave them. It's eventually uncovered. They are faced in court with the documents.
So, Mr. President, you're here obviously referring to the case of the Chief Justice of the Federation, or who are you referring to? Is that an example? Because you talked about people who are not declaring. This is what is topical now, and I'm wondering whether that is the case you're referring to.
I thought you have to repeat that question again.
Okay. Let me ask it another way. You've talked about people who do wrongdoing and being investigated. There are cases of people that are thought to be very close to you. An example is the former secretary to the federal government, Malam Babachir, allegedly accused of taking money that was meant for IDPs and awarding contracts to himself. As far as we know, the EFCC has not investigated him, even though he has lost his job. He is one of few other examples of people who are in government who've got petitions against them in front of the EFCC, and the EFCC is not investigating. And the general perception is that the reason why those investigations are not taking place is because these are people who are either close to the government or who are in government.
Well, I'm not too clear about your question, but if you can mention the names.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
I said Babachir, the former SGF, the Minister of Housing, Mr. Raji Fashola. There's a petition in front of the EFCC by an NGO. And as far as I know, that has not been investigated. So I'm trying to understand whether you are aware of these things, and if this is part of, as it is alleged, part of a policy not to investigate people in government.
Well, we can't to be fair to individuals, I told you why I have to be careful. And if anybody, the public should help us. If there are strong allegations and people backed it up by evidence, bank accounts, names of companies floated, contracts awarded, then we take them before the courts through EFCC and ICPC. And we have to trust the system and allow them to complete the investigation. If we just take people in, as we did here in the military area, and lock them up, this system, the present system, multi-party democratic system, does not approve that. If you accuse any person, you have to produce the evidence in court for him to be prosecuted. So if there is strong allegation, the government may decide to ask people to go, like the former secretary to the government you mentioned. We ask him to go. But if anybody...
But the question is, after asking him to go, how come he hasn't been prosecuted, which is what Nigerians are wondering. If there was a strong enough evidence to ask him to go, it means there's an indication that maybe he did something wrong. Why hasn't he been presented before a court and charged with corrupt practices?
It's still before. I think the matter is already before the EFCC. And I believe that, in fact, a directive has been issued regarding all persons who have cases before the EFCC. I'm sure that you will find that each and every person who has an allegation against them and has been duly investigated will be put on trial, without a doubt.